Hi, my name is Mark Kohler, and thank you so much for watching this presentation on estate planning. Now, as part of your education series, I think this is going to be one of the most important video portions you'll watch and could impact your life for many, many years to come. No matter where your life takes you, estate planning is going to be an important part of your overall wealth building strategy. Now, my name is Mark Kohler. I'm a CPA, attorney, a best-selling author. I'm an entrepreneur, wife and 4 kids. I surf on the weekends. I live in Southern California, and our home office is in Southern Utah. We also have an office in Phoenix, and then, of course, here in Southern California, we have an office in Irvine, California. Now, I've been building up a tremendous team over the last 12 years. I'm surrounded with just people smarter than me in our law firm and accounting firm, serving clients nationwide with business planning, estate planning, and tax planning, doing tax returns and setting up entities and just structuring it properly so that no matter what type of wealth you build, we're saving taxes, protecting your assets, and then, in case of your untimely passing, we have an estate plan where the whole thing comes together. So for the next little while, I'd like to talk about estate planning and how it can impact you in a very, very important way and help your family for generations to come, save you a lot of money and heartache in the case of a past loved one. Now, some of you may be surprised to discover that over 50% of Americans don't even have a basic will or estate plan whatsoever. Now, this is a travesty because it costs families so much time and money after the passing of a loved one when they could be mourning their passing, but they're spending money with a lawyer, going to court. It sometimes takes months or even years to pass on assets to the proper individuals. So having an estate plan is so important to help you pass on your assets properly to the people that you love. A lot of people ask, what's involved in an estate plan? Well, frankly, there can be a lot of pieces and parts in a well-drafted estate plan. I guess at the basic level, you could just have a will, even a one-page will, and I challenge many of you just to do a will in case of an emergency. Write down who gets what if you pass away prematurely. But a good and well-drafted estate plan is going to have pieces and parts like powers of attorney for healthcare, powers of attorney for finances. It may even involve a revocable living trust, probably a living will or an advanced care directive if you're a vegetable or on life support. It could include funeral and burial instructions, a personal memorandum of certain personal items that you might want to change from time to time that could go to different family members. Maybe some personal instructions or burial instructions. I mean, the list goes on. And in a good estate plan, it's going to be in a binder where you can put other important documents like your passports or marriage certificates or other important documents that can go even in a fireproof safe. Doing an estate plan is a wonderful way to feel a little more organized. And there's a lot of different reasons to do an estate plan than just, oh, if I'm going to die. It could even be in the case of your disability or again in a hospital situation where you couldn't make your own decisions. So keep that in mind as you look at this overall estate plan. And I also want to point out that it can be extremely affordable. Another option that we're going to talk about here more, near the end of this presentation is some ways that you can do your estate plan without it costing thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, the big debate that comes next is, do I need a will or a trust, or even both? Because typically if you have a living trust, which I'll talk about here more in a moment, you're going to have a basic will that goes with it. But some of you may not need the trust, we'll talk about that, but a basic will is going to say who gets what and appoint a guardian if you have minor children who would raise your kids until they're age 18, and then also an executor or a personal representative. Now, the executor or personal representative doesn't have to be great with kids, but I joke about it sometimes, they just need to be a basic good party planner. They're going to put together your funeral, pick out the flowers, the casket, and put together all those little things that are really sensitive and important right after your passing. But they may not be involved in the long-term care of your children or the liquidation of your assets or acting as a trustee. So a will, again, is basic, it's simple, and many of you can do a handwritten will wherever you're located in the country by typically having 2 witnesses and then having it notarized. But again, that's very basic and probably your worst case scenario, just having something in the case of an emergency. Now, the revocable living trust, what's nice about this is it not only does who gets what, but when, where, and how. And this can be very, very powerful for some of you that have minor children or children that act like minors, so that we could put all sorts of rules in a trust of maybe distributing money in stages when the kids turn 25, 30, 35. Maybe they get money for good grades, bad grades. They don't get anything until their life's in order if they're on drugs, if they have problems with the law. Maybe they get bonuses if they graduate from college. They can have money if they get married. They get money to start a business or buy a home. The list goes on and on. In fact, there's all sorts of variables that I love to share with clients that they can do in the design of their trust so that you can tailor it to your family. Everybody's family is different. And if you could tailor it and make it perfect for your family, the sense of frustration or concern can just be lifted from your shoulders. And knowing that you have a quality estate plan can just give you a huge sense of security when you're building these assets and worried about where they may end up. Well, at this point, I'd like to also share a few stories, examples, or experiences I've had over the years that I think could really exemplify the importance of an estate plan or how you could use it strategically. Now, I speak around the country on this topic, and some of you that have maybe seen me speak or listened to my radio show may have heard some of these stories before. Please forgive me if it's old news to you. But these are experiences that have really changed my life and have taught me the importance of estate planning and ways to help clients design a better estate plan. One of these examples, and I'll just rattle off a few of these here, an example that was really heart-wrenching, really, was a mother that passed away unexpectedly during a surgery. Now, she had just gone through a divorce. She had 3 children that were ages 19, 20, 21, very young. One of them, the youngest, was still in high school, and the others were just starting college or new jobs and just trying to figure out life. Well, when she passed away, she had no plan. And her wealth, which included some real estate, as well as some life insurance, and also there was a wrongful death suit with the passing in the surgery. So this chunk of money was going to be distributed to the kids, and we ended up being the attorneys for the estate. So I'm sitting at this huge conference room table with these kids around the table and handing out big checks to these kids. And one of them, the youngest, gets a cell phone call right during this process. And he takes this call. Yeah, I want the silver one, all-wheel drive. Are we done yet? And he just wanted his check and to get out of there. And I just handed these checks over to the kids with this really concern, deep concern as to what was going to happen. Well, within 2 to 3 weeks, that youngest had totaled the car, had a DUI, and within 1 year, all 3 of those kids had blown the money, all gone. Now, I don't know if I blame him. If I was 18, 19 years old and someone gave me several $100,000, I'm sure I would have blown it too. In fact, I probably wouldn't even be here today. Think of how that would have impacted you in your life if someone would have dropped a big chunk of money into your pocket and you didn't have the experience, the maturity, or education of what to do with it. Well, I just get chills when I think about that and how that young mom, relatively young, could have really impacted her kids in a much better way by having a quality estate plan. Just a trust that would say, you know what, hold that money at bay. Give them money for tuition. Give them money to do something productive, but I want them to get that money in stages. So you can see how that stage example really can help kids go through some learning experiences and processes to help them better manage money. Now, I've also had some clients that are older. You know, they're in their 60s or 70s. And they've come in to meet with me, and in fact, I had this one woman this one time, and she had a terminal illness, and came in and said, "Mark, I've got 2 children. I've got 2 daughters. One of them that's just dialed in. She's got a great career, married kids. Really things are coming together for her. And my other daughter, who's still in her 30s or 40s, I think it was, is living on the streets, and she's addicted to drugs. I think it was heroin. And she goes, I can't give her money. It would kill her. She'd literally disappear and probably overdose. And so we were able to draft a trust where actually I acted as a co-trustee with the healthy, responsible daughter. And we've continued for years to divvy out money to the daughter that's really in a hard life situation. And even though she didn't have minor children, she had children that really at any age couldn't handle money, and in fact it could probably kill them. So for those of you that are more mature and have even older children, that could be important. I remember one instance where I had this grandma come in that was older, and she, her kids were in their 40s, or I think, or even 50s. And she goes, Mark, I've got 3 kids, and I didn't even bring up the topic of stages and handing out money over time. And I said, well, let's just divide it 3 ways. And she goes, No, 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 Mark, they get it when they're age 65. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a little aggressive. And she could see I was kind of like, what's up? And she started to cry right there in our meeting. And she said, Mark, I'm in my early 70s and I'm working harder now than I did in my 40s. I have no retirement. Social Security isn't cutting it for me. And my kids don't know it, but they don't need inheritance from me now. They need my life insurance when they turn 65. And that's when I want them to have it. Examples like that are a way that you can leave a legacy for your family, whether it's real estate, life insurance, or retirement account, where you can leave it to your family in the way that's best for them. And in your experience, you may know what's best for them, even though they may not agree. So consider those examples as an important way, an important consideration when you design your estate plan. Now, before we talk about some of the key people in your estate plan that are going to help implement your wishes, let's talk about, again, the process or the way to implement your estate plan in the most affordable way. Now, you're going to hear from some of your Strongbrook support folks. They're going to talk to you later about a software program, one that I've been personally involved in and developing over the last 2 years with Estate Docs Pro. And it's an amazing software program where, in the convenience of your own home at a much more affordable price, you can design your own estate plan. Now, I mention this just as an option. I mean, of course, you can go meet with an attorney face-to-face. You're going to typically pay somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000 sitting down with an attorney drafting your basic estate plan. And we do that with clients around the country every day. But many people, due to procrastination maybe and other barriers, they say, I'm just going to put it off. I'm not going to do it. And they need an easy and affordable way to do it. And that's where Estate Docs Pro and a software program can come to your rescue. So you'll hear more about this in the future, but this is a way you can go through a program and make specific selections and options and design that estate plan, print it out, and know that it was done compliant in your state, in any state, legally and comprehensively, so that you've got your estate plan finished and in the drawer. This is huge. And you'll see a lot more of me with some explanation videos if you go through that process. So don't feel like this is an overwhelming process, and that's the point I wanted to make now. Doing your estate plan doesn't have to be expensive or overwhelming. There are options, and like I said, you'll hear more about that from your Strongbrook team. Now, some of the key people that you're going to want to think about injecting into your estate plan are those three titles I've referenced a little bit already. The guardian, and the guardian is the one that's going to be raising your children. The executor, or personal representative, that's the one carrying out your wishes at the funeral and basically going through your underwear drawer when you're gone. And then the third person is the trustee. Now, the trustee is the one that's going to carry out the financial distribution, which could take 10, 20, 30 years. And that person needs to be great with money. They may not be good at raising kids. They could be terrible handling a funeral, but they could be wonderful with money. So keep in mind that you can have one person play all three roles, or two different people or three different people, and that's okay. Also keep in mind that you can do a team. A team effort in a trustee scenario can be very helpful. You can have 2 people serve as trustee, or 3 people, which I normally recommend, so you don't have a kind of a deadlock on a decision. But 3 people is perfect for a trustee group. When it comes to guardians, I always recommend to people choose one person. Don't say, oh, I want my sister and my brother-in-law to raise my kids. Well, what happens if they get divorced or one of them pass away? So who is it that you really want to raise your kids? I also want backups for all these people. And when you go through the software program and start implementing some of these things, think about how long your trust may survive. You may say, oh, I want my dad to be my trustee for my finances for my kids. Well, if you're divvying out money over the next 20 years, is your dad going to want to be doing that 20 years from now? How old is he? So make sure that you have a backup that may be younger, that 20 years from now or 15 years from now could be a good fit. So those are little things to really consider when you're doing your estate plan, is who the key people are going to be inside the package. All right, now finally I want to make some summary points that I think are really helpful and common questions I get when I do a live event. Number one, this is a revocable living trust. You can make changes anytime you want. It can be very affordable to make changes. Pull it out, do a First Amendment, and have it witnessed and notarized, you're good to go. You can also hire an attorney to make those amendments and maybe coach you through some of it. We may only charge $200 or $300 to do an amendment in that situation. Keep in mind, an estate plan, a revocable living trust, does not provide any asset protection. This is not going to protect your assets in the case of a lawsuit. We can do other things for that, proper business structuring, LLCs, corporations, maybe domestic asset protection trusts, limited partnerships. I love to do asset protection planning, and it's one of the 2 books I've written on that topic. Now, third, keep in mind that when you do your estate plan, that you're going to get all these other pieces and parts. The powers of attorney for this, that, and another, and the living will and the healthcare directive. Those are going to be more state specific. So whether you're doing it through a software program or through an attorney, those are ones that you want to make sure that if you move to a new state, you would update those. But the nice thing is your will and trust will be respected and legally binding no matter where you move over the next 5, 10, 30 years. That's the nice thing about doing a quality estate plan, is it will last you that long. I have clients come in that have had their same estate plan for 30 years, and we do a little amendment and touch it up and work with it. So don't feel like you have to redo this all the time. Next point, once you get your estate plan and trust done, we need to make sure it's funded. I want the trust to be the beneficiary of your life insurance, own your home. It needs to be the owner of your LLCs, not the rental properties, but the LLC that owns the rental properties. Corporations, there's a lot of funding that needs to be done here. And so this is where you can utilize a law firm. We can help you do that too, to help get it funded and bring all those pieces and parts together. You may need to do some title transfers or beneficiary changes. But once you get the trust funded, it really runs on autopilot. You don't need to update your trust every time you buy a new asset. You need to use the trust name when you form a new entity. So make sure you're doing that. Finally, I would just say, don't procrastinate. Get this done. You're going to have such a huge sense of relief and accomplishment when you get your estate plan done. There's so many little pieces and important parts here. Just even thinking about your media and making sure you put your usernames and passwords, and what about your iTunes and all this computer data, is that listed in your estate plan? Are you talking about that? What about pets? Are you talking about having a little stipend or money set aside for someone that's going to raise your pets or animals? Guns, another huge topic that we talk about a lot. See, all these little topics should be thought out and carried and dealt with, whether it's a software program or with an attorney. And again, you'll hear of a very comprehensive program where we can take care of all that. But the point is get it done. Don't procrastinate. You're going to feel so much better when your estate plan is finished and coordinated with your overall tax strategy and asset protection strategy. Again, my name is Mark Kohler, CPA attorney and best-selling author, and just an entrepreneur trying to live the American dream like you. I hope that I can get to build a relationship with you for many years to come. I'm not going anywhere, and these folks at Strongbrook know what they're doing. This is such a powerful education program, and I'm grateful just to be involved with it. Hopefully you'll hear more from me in the future too, and God bless you, and don't give up on your American dream.